All right, let's jump right in. Today, we're cracking open what's called the ITIL 4 Toolkit. Now, this is basically the secret engine that keeps our entire digital world humming along smoothly. We're going to be pulling our insights from a great report by Virtualization Options LLC to really demystify what ITIL, and that stands for Information Technology Infrastructure Library, what it actually means for a modern business. And trust me, it's about so much more than just fixing computers. It's really about mastering the entire art of service management. So let's get into it.
So, to really understand why this stuff is so important, let's start with a question that, probably keeps a lot of business leaders up at night. When a service that people depend on just goes down, what's the actual damage? I mean, it's easy to dismiss it as just a technical glitch, right? But the reality is so much more serious than that.
To put a real number on it, the report we're looking at points to this case with a massive telecom company. They had a major outage, and the cost? A mind-blowing $150,000 per hour. Just let that sink in for a second. That's over $2,000 taking away every single minute, just gone. And that's just the start of it, because the real damage, the thing that lasts, is the hit to your customers' trust. When your services are flaky, your customers, they leave. And a company's reputation, that can take years, literally years to rebuild. That high-stakes problem is exactly what a framework like ITIL 4 is built to prevent.
So, what is this magic solution? Well, ITIL 4 isn't some rigid, old-school rulebook. The best way to think of it is like a professional toolkit, one that's packed with 34 distinct tools, or as they call them, practices. It's a modern, super flexible framework that helps organizations manage all their IT services in a way that actually, truly helps the business succeed. So this toolkit is neatly organized into 3 main trays, let's call them, each holding a different kind of tool. First up, you've got the general management practices. These are your foundational tools, good for the whole business. Then you have the service management practices. These are the core, everyday tools for delivering IT. And finally, the technical management practices, your real specialized gear for the deep tech stuff. Okay, so let's pop open that first tray, the general management practices. There are 14 of these, and they're not just for the IT folks. No, these are the foundational skills that help the entire organization plan, run, and just get better. Let's pull one out and take a closer look. And this one is continual improvement. Honestly, this is the engine that drives an organization forward, helping it get better little by little, all the time. It's about building a culture that is constantly asking, hey, how can we do this better? And then actually having a structured way to make that happen. It sounds pretty simple, but the impact is absolutely massive. So what does that look like in the real world? Well, a global bank took this exact idea and applied it to how they fix IT problems. Before they started, it took them, on average, a painful 4.5 hours to resolve an issue. By focusing on continual improvement, they absolutely crushed that time, down to just 2.5 hours. That's a 43% reduction. Incredible. And what does a 43% reduction in time mean in business terms? For this bank, it added up to an estimated annual savings of $3.2 million. That is the kind of power we're talking about when you use just one of these foundational tools the right way. All right, let's move on to the next tray in the toolbox. These are the service management practices. There are 17 of them, and they are the specialized workhorse tools for the day-to-day job of creating, delivering, and supporting IT services. This is really where the rubber meets the road. And here's a big one: incident management. We've all been there, right? An app crashes, a website you need is just gone. This practice is like the digital first responder. Its whole job is to get things back up and running as fast as humanly possible. The name of the game here is speed. Stop the bleeding and minimize the disruption, period. Now, remember that telecom company that was losing $150,000 an hour? Well, by getting really good at incident management, they were able to protect an estimated $8.2 million in annual revenue that was just at risk of disappearing. So you see, it's not just about fixing stuff fast, it's about strategically protecting the business's bottom line. And the wins were across the board. Yeah, they restored service 42% faster, and they cut their total downtime by 30%. But check this out. This is the really cool part. They also saw a 22% drop in the same incidents happening over and over again. So they weren't just becoming faster firefighters, they were actually getting better at preventing the fires from starting. And finally, we get to the third and, you could say, the most specialized tray in our toolkit,
the technical management practices. These are the tools for managing the actual nuts and bolts, the hardware and software that everything else is built on top of. Let's take a look at deployment management. This practice is that super critical bridge between having a great new feature developed and actually getting it safely into the hands of your users. It is all about managing the risk of putting something new into a live system that people are actively using. And a huge part of this is picking the right game plan. You could, for example, go for a high-risk, big bang deployment where you change everything all at once and kind of just cross your fingers. Or you could use a much safer, phased approach, rolling out changes bit by bit to smaller groups. This practice gives you the control to make that decision intelligently, not just guess.
So we've looked at just one tool from each of the three trays. But the real magic of ITIL 4, the secret sauce, isn't about using any one of these tools by itself. Its true power is unlocked when all 34 practices start working together as one single integrated framework.
And that really brings us to the core power of ITIL 4. It's comprehensive, so you get the whole picture, but it's not rigid. It's designed from the ground up to be adaptable and flexible for what you need. That's why it plays so nicely with modern ways of working, like Agile and DevOps. And at the end of the day, every single tool in this kit is designed to keep everyone focused on one thing and one thing only, creating real, measurable value for the business. And that brings us to our final thought. As you think about this whole toolkit with its 34 different capabilities, which one of these practices, which single tool, might just hold the key to solving your organization's biggest, most annoying IT challenge? Something to think about.